There was a ceaseless chatter of conversation between the fashionable spectators on the stage, interspersed with calls for drinking and lights for their pipes. Smoking went on throughout the performance. The actors and the audience, however, accepted these interruptions without much protest. Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel, and I am Mehreen. Today in this video I am going to talk about some of the very important facts about the Elizabethan theatre. The Elizabethan theatres were primitive concerns, large wooden sheds, partly thatched with rushes, a flag's staff on the roof, and surrounded by a trench. These theatres stood along the bank of the Thames and gave rise to a good deal of relaxation to quiet citizens in the neighborhood. Around these playhouses or theatres, in the afternoons, the narrow winding streets were so crowded by noisy, frivolous groups of people that business suffered in the shops. Processions and funerals were obstructed, and perpetual causes of complaint arose. In spite of objections by residents and bitter criticism by the Puritans, theatres multiplied rapidly. In 1633, there were 19 permanent theatres in London, which for a town of 300,000 inhabitants sufficiently indicates the keen interest taken in the drama. The private theatres were designed on the model of guild halls, and the public theatres on the model of the inn yard. The private theatres were more luxurious, being fully roofed and seated. In the public theatres, on the other hand, the auditorium, as in ancient Greece, was open to the sky, only the stage being roofed. Thus, the pleasure of seeing the play in bad weather was marred. There were no tickets. An amount of 5 pence in modern reckoning admitted a customer to standing room in the yard. Rich spectators watched the performance from boxes on each side of the stage, paying about 12 shillings for the privilege of a seat. In the upper box was the orchestra of Globe Theatre, the largest in London, composed of 10 performers with different instruments. The fashionable part of the house was on the stage itself. There sat the royal patrons of the theatre, Essex and Southamptons, with their friends. Here also sat the dramatic poets of the time, to whom was accorded a free pass. In my point of view, most important of all were the shorthand writers in the pay of piratical booksellers who took down the dialogues under the pretense of criticizing it, and thus they preserved for posterity many plays that otherwise would have been lost. There was a ceaseless chatter of conversation between the fashionable spectators on the stage, interspersed with calls for drinking and lights for their pipes. Smoking went on throughout the performance. The actors and the audience, however, accepted these interruptions without much protest. A trumpet blast started the performance. Then came the prologue spoken by an actor in a long black coat. The performance of a tragedy was signalized by draping the stage with black, and for a comedy, blue hangings were substituted. A placard hung upon one of the stage doors indicating the scene of the play, Venus or Verona. With the change of scene, the placard was changed. To keep up the spirits of the audience, there was a jester to dance between the acts. And a very important fact of Elizabethan theatre was there was no women. No women ever appeared on the stage, and very few women went to see the performances. The theatre was far too rough a play for the decent women. The Queen summoned the players to court on special occasions, and Shakespeare's company often gave a command performance. Hence, in some of the plays like Midsummer Night Dream and Merchant of Venus, flattering allusions are made for the benefit of the Queen. The stage consisted of a bare platform with a curtain across the middle separating the front from the rear stage. On the rear stage, unexpected scenes or characters were presented on the audience by simply drawing the curtain aside. At first, little or no scenery was used, and this very lack of scenery led to better acting, since the actors had to be realistic enough to make the audience forget its shabby surroundings. By Shakespeare's day, however, painted scenery had appeared. Thus, the stage was no longer colorless or dull. It was hung with tapestries and curtains, which affected the emotional response of the audience. The actors wore splendid clothes, largely inherited from noblemen. Music, fireworks, guns, and thunder were all used to suggest atmosphere and to give color to eye and ear. The audience was expected to imagine a lot and to respond to an aesthetic experience as a result of seeing a stage and properties representing imaginary scenes in which actors created characters and incidents by making the words of an author come alive. I hope you would have learned a lot from this video. So thanks for being with Mehreen for such a long time. Keep supporting, keep subscribing, and keep waiting for my next videos.